Hello and welcome to the Comedians Power. This is a podcast where we speak to comedians, comedy promoters, comedy producers from across the comedy world. Now, today's guest is a comedian who grew up in the townships of South Africa and has moved over to Ireland for the Guinness. For the Guinness.
And the weather. I got tired of all the beautiful tropical weather.
So, Neil, for anyone that doesn't know about you, give us a little bit brief intro of like where you came from and how you got to being a comedian in Ireland.
Sure. So I'm born in Dublin in South Africa, which is a small town on the East Coast. As you said, I live in a township. I was born in a little township called Marion Ridge. And like we'll get into like the daily life of that later on, but I just ended up doing jobs. Like I didn't have a third level education or anything like that, just went through school, just had a series of jobs, just trying to like get by. But I was always interested in comedy, always wanted to do comedy. I just didn't think it was something that was attainable, but like I thought it was an exciting thing to do. And then in 2007, there was this guy and he just put a comedy show together based off like our ideas of what comedy is at that time, like Def Comedy Jam, like we just did our own rudimentary version of what we thought a comedy show would look like, should look like. And it just went from there, man. It just got a life of its own. And we really got a nice scene going in Dublin, in South Africa for a long time. And then started like Johannesburg is the big place
Okay.
in South Africa. That's the main place, like where all music, movies, everything comes out of Johannesburg.
Okay.
But so there are a lot of successful comedians from Durban now. We want the first, but it's a thing in Durban. I don't know how it is with you. If you do well, you have to go to Joburg. Like if you want to make it and you want to make money and you want that to be your career, you have to go to Joburg.
Okay.
But it was me and a small core of us for different reasons couldn't move to Johannesburg. So we said we'll make our own scene in Durban. And we did it. Like we scrabbled and scraped and grinded and it went well. And I'm not going to say I'm an A-list celebrity top comedian where I'm from, but like in Durban, South Africa, yeah, like I did really, really well. I ended up being a radio presenter on the big radio station down there. And then that kind of took off for me. And I ended up in Ireland because my wife got a job here. So it was so mad. We like, we worked from the ground up, built everything. I did Comedy Central a couple of times. I did my one-man show. I sold that to the big, like the news, not the news, like the main TV station and our South African streaming platform. And just when it was all happening for me, like just when it was starting to kick off, I had to move to Ireland with my family. And that's how I ended up here now.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, gee.
How does it feel? Does it feel, yeah, how did it feel? Because you built such a big thing in like Durban and then you have to start
Yeah.
over again.
And that's the thing. It's just, you know what it is. Like, even when I come here, like, when you're part of a family unit, like everything you do in consultation with your family, you know? And like, so I'm here and I'm doing comedy. I'm not saying it's going badly. I'm doing all right. I did the big festival the past 2 years. I've been on tour a couple of times. I'm doing okay, but I'm not trying to make it in comedy in Ireland. I just want to be clear during during this interview. Because like when we got here, like my wife literally put her hand on my arm, like when I first started doing comedy here, and she was like, not again. Like, so like now I do it because I love doing it and I'm kind of keeping in the spirits of the thing. I'll always do comedy, but no, like what it took to make it in Durban, I don't know if I have it in me to do it twice. Anybody that's made it in comedy, and again, I'm not saying I was at the top, but I made it to where like it was my job, and I was getting money, and like I had a house, like a normal house, and I had a car, and I was paying bills with comedy. Let's just say that I didn't have a Murcielago and all that, but I'm saying like I was subsisting. I was doing subsistence. That was my job. And what it took to get from nothing to that, I don't have it in me to do it again. I just don't.
Oh God. That,
Yeah.
but so do you feel that you're in Ireland to stay? Do you feel?
Oh yes, yes, I am for definitely for the foreseeable future, but probably for a very, very long time because I got my daughters here with me, and they this is their home now. Like they love it here.
It's funny what, and you're in Dublin, right? Dublin.
I'm in Dublin, yeah.
I visited, I think, about a few years ago, and there's all
All
sorts of
right.
madness. I'll say it as well. So I did the Comedy Cellar, and it's a big comedy club in Ireland, of course, and it's like the one without the microphone. And it's a mad
Right.
thing because the guy that booked me, Dave O'Reilly, was
Yeah.
there's a big thing about him being oh you a bit a pervert to women, and then I didn't
Yeah,
know about that.
that's what Cause let me tell you, like all scenes have their drama. Let's not like act like
Yeah.
there's no drama. I think
Oh
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
anything
Definitely,
to do with
definitely.
entertainment. But yeah, they have their fair share of like when I came here, I was like, oh, this is the cultural one of the cultural centers of Europe. It's gonna all be like organized. Nah. They same like South Africa, there's stuff that happens in the background. I suppose all scenes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why comedy clubs are nicer to people that come in because there's no sort of they don't see them as any threat or anything like that. They see in them as you could help me if I'm abroad or something. I've noticed that whether I've performed
I'll
or
tell
like
you, I'll tell you what though, right? Like just a quick, very quick overview. Like, yeah, I do the clubs. I've done all the clubs, but there's a few clubs that I do more regularly than I do other clubs. And that's because there are some events here that I don't know how it is by you. There's some places that are like pretty anti-immigrant. Like, yeah, like let's talk about it. Like it's on the tin there. There's a couple of things here where they wouldn't be keen on that kind of thing.
okay. Oh God,
Mhm.
really?
And, and I'll tell you what, like the senior, there's most of the clubs, and especially the ones I like performing at the most, very, very safe spaces, right? But there's posters on the wall talking about it because there are places where it's not like that. And like even within like the Facebook group, like where you get gigs from, every now and again you get tipped off to say, don't do this guy's gig. Here's a video of him going on a rant against trans people or whatever. So yeah, B, there's some places that are not very, very small amounts of places, but there's enough for it to be a concern.
Mm. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to go into that, but yeah, yeah, it's. I
Yeah.
I find yeah, we in entertainment we sometimes follow on a lot of bullshit that isn't really worth focusing on.
Absolutely, B. But you see, that's the thing. It's because, especially with comedy, because the very nature of it is free flowing, free speech. Just no, if you go back to the 70s, like when people were getting put in jail for saying the F word, comedy has always been this place pushing up against what's considered acceptable and what's considered decent. So obviously within that, there's gonna be some hit the balls inside there that kind of take that too far. You know what I'm saying? You can't
Yeah,
stop that.
yeah, of course. No, I enjoyed my time in Dublin. I'll say that it was a nice city, nice time. I'd say one other thing that
Yeah,
did happen though. I had a weird
yeah,
thing, or two weird things happened. I was performing at a gig near the Halfpenny Bridge, and with one of them, a son and the father fell down the stairs in between my set, I remember. And then another thing happened was bloody I went up there again for another gig, and this bar
yeah.
lady says to me before I go in, like a big warning, this gig's gonna be shit and weird. Um, and you're gonna be uncomfortable. And the thing is, right, the guy did quite well at the start, but
Yeah,
like 5 or 10 minutes, he was warmed up. But then he did another 20 minutes and killed the room.
yeah, let's go.
And then they introduced another. They had to try and repair it, and then he did another 20 minutes in between after that, and then another one. And he made it really difficult for everyone. I'm not going to say what gig it was or this and that, but it was quite a surreal experience.
Well, I'll tell you, if it's the same gig you're talking about and don't confirm it, right? There was a gig. at the pub, the Halfpenny Bridge pub upstairs. And that gig, unfortunately, is dead now. That was one of my favorite gigs that I used to
Oh,
do like once every 2 weeks almost at sometimes because it was so off the wall. Like you never knew what you were getting. You know, if you want to train to be a better comedian, that's the spot to go to.
oh.
Like it was oh, that was a wild gig. But yeah, it doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Is that
Yeah.
is that gig pub still running gigs though?
No, not at
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Uh, there's mad gigs like that in London as well, but I mean, you must have had mad gigs like that in South Africa too.
Oh, you see, that's the thing. Like in South Africa, like I haven't really gigged in London, right? But in South Africa, there's gigs going on all over the place. But then there's the main comedy clubs. There's Cape Town Comedy Club, which is closed now. COVID put an end to a lot of these places. But then when you go to Johannesburg, there was Parker's Comedy Club, and then there was Goliath Comedy Club, and the whole push was you were doing all these other small gigs in the hope that you would be picked to do the big comedy clubs. That was when you started out. That was your goal. I want to play Cape Town Comedy Club. I want to play Goliath Comedy Club, and you work towards it. And when you do it, it's a big deal, and you get paid well. And there's a lot of like status that comes with doing it. Like we don't have a live at the Apollo, you know. So that would be the equivalent of it, doing the big comedy clubs. And Dublin doesn't have that. In Dublin, there's like 40 comedy clubs all running, all kind of jockeying for position. And yes, within that, there's like maybe 5 or 6 that are more prestigious than the others, but there's no clear distinction. Like in Johannesburg, Durban, if you're working to get booked on this comedy club that runs every week from Wednesday to Sunday. That's the goal. Yeah, you can do 3 clubs in the same night, and they're all good quality gigs, but there's no main gig. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's no like comedy store like there is in LA or in London.
that's exactly right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it makes it a lot more healthier in some ways because once you got a bottleneck like that, that's when you invite gatekeepers. That's when you like now having to like pally up to promoters. And do you get what I'm saying? I see the problem with that. But like the way they got it now, you can go perform anywhere on any night, and then there's 60 people in the room, and the room is warm, and it's one of the best gigs of your life, you know? Like in Durban, it's not like that. If you're not at the main gig, then you at some seafood restaurant where they just kind of push some tables, just push these front tables back, and then they're like, go do comedy, you know? That's the worst.
One thing I've noticed with South Africans in London, some South Africans are very brutal and straightforward, more so
Yes.
than Londoners. Do you find that in Ireland as well in terms of like audiences and people? Like people in South Africa a lot more.
Yeah, like I don't know, because in Dublin, especially, right? In Dublin, when you're in the city center, you're not performing to an Irish audience. When you go out on stage, it's tourists, bro. Like there's very, very seldom when you go out there and more than half the room are Irish people. It's very seldom.
Okay.
Most of the time when you go there, you have to ask, oh, where are you from? Switzerland. So, yes, they would be a lot more low key in the way they conduct themselves because okay, yes, when you meet a hen party or something, then you're in trouble, you know? But for the most part, like it's just people just came out to have a laugh. Now in South Africa, somebody might throw a beer bottle at you.
Ooh.
I'm saying, like for real. I did a gig at a medieval themed castle once called Greensleeves in one of the outlying areas. You know, when you try and do comedy outreach, where you go, oh, they don't have any comedy out in Hillcrest. Let's go do a show there. And we went to do the show in Hillcrest, like out in a literal castle. And during the gig went well. This is the mad part. And then at the end of the gig, I did a joke about the Bible. Like, what? Like, no atheistic rants or anything. I literally just the joke is about smoking weed out of the Bible paper. And I had to get put in the back of a car and covered with coats and like driven out of there. Like the people were gonna like proper beat me up. Like proper. It was a riot. It was like a
Whoa!
little mini. Yes, they had to take me out the side door and throw me in the back of a car that I didn't come in because the people were looking for me like with pitchforks, pitchfork peasants, be.
My God!
Yeah. Because it was in like I didn't know that it was in like some super conservative, like Christian place. I didn't know that. They
Oh
lost their
God!
minds when I said that. Like that would never happen in Dublin.
But what's yeah? I mean, Skulk said this to me when I interviewed on a podcast. He said that
Right.
performing in South Africa helped him
Yeah.
perform for an international audience. How did the South African scene help you as a comedian, do you feel? Looking back on it, how is it did it prepare you?
Oh, very much so. Because in a South African context, especially, you know what Skulk's talking about there. In South Africa is still very segregated. Don't let anybody lie to you. I know that apartheid ended in 1994, but it's still very segregated. So if you go do a gig in a particular place, when you get there, the audience is gonna be like all white people. And if you go do a gig in another place, it's gonna be all black people, like rural black people. And then you so like it teaches you, you kind of have to have the ability to adapt on a fly, to know that I'm doing all this material that I'm doing here today. And then you get out in front of the audience and it's literally 600 Indian people. Now, what you're gonna do, you know? And you have to learn to have material that relates to because all these groups live together. It's hard to explain about in South Africa, like, you know, like in London. I've been to London a few times. I love it because it's so cosmopolitan that everybody has an understanding of each other, kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In South Africa, like if you black in South Africa, you live for the most part, you live with other black people.
Okay.
That's who's around you, you know? So you have your own language. Within your own language, you have your own slang. You have your own kind of things that are funny to you, you know? And if you're a comedian, in the beginning, like I didn't understand it. And I got booked to do a gig in Newcastle. When you get there and you get to Newcastle and you go out in front of that audience, you can't be doing jokes about Star Wars. I don't watch Star Wars. You get what I'm saying? So your references, you have to find things that resonate with that crowd. And that's where gigging in South Africa has helped me the most. Being able to go out there and quickly establish commonalities just by asking questions with people in the audience. Like that's where crowd
Ah,
work becomes really important to you, you know?
okay. So yeah, so okay, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they have
Yeah.
yeah, likability in comedy is such a big thing. Getting them
Yeah.
to
And that's exactly right. So if I'm doing a joke in South Africa about people that own horses, so like wealthy people, when I get to a new place, I have to go there and ask like one of the other comedians that's from there or one of the promoters, hey, in this place where we are, where do the posh people live? And then he tells me the name of the place, you know? And then when you go out and you do the joke, and then you reference the place that they all know, like they go, oh my God, you know, like this guy, but you haven't. You just ask, you just
yeah.
ask basic questions beforehand. So yeah, you'd have to go with your notebook and try and change stuff. Oh, where's the people that drag race? Like, where does the drag racing place
Okay.
happen? Yeah. And then you find the road where that happens, you know? So, yeah, in South Africa teaches you that. You have to make everything relevant to that audience all the time. And it's because it's such a big place and people's lived experiences are so different that, yes, it does kind of prepare you for going out into the bigger space that is the world, you know?
What and what have you found? Okay, that's very interesting. And what have been instances performing in South Africa where you had to adjust a certain joke for, like, I don't know, an Afrikaans audience, for a
Yeah.
black audience? And what's one joke that you've adjusted for Afrikaans, black audience? I know there's a lot of Indians in South Africa as well, isn't it? A lot of Asians in South Africa.
Yes, especially where I live, because I live in Durban. So in Durban, if you're doing a comedy show, and it's a big show. It's at the ICC, and there's going to be 5,000 people there, right? You're going to do the big stage. You need to know when you go out onto that stage that 3,000 of the audience members are going to be Indian. So, so you need to come prepared to be able to appeal to everybody, but as you're saying, tailor some of it so that the references resonate with the biggest parts of the audience. You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
So I like what you said about Afrikaans as well, because language becomes important in South Africa as well.
Okay.
Because you can have a word for something. Like there's the joke that I do about like how our children don't know how it was when we were growing up. Because when we were growing up, you if the bed like sometimes you had to sleep four in a bed and one had to sleep by the feet, right? And then I found out that Indian people have a specific word for sleeping by the feet. You ever seen that when people sleep in the bed, like where one sleeps this way and one sleeps the other way, so you can sleep?
No, I'm sorry, I have not. But go on.
You're privileged life, but that's what I'm saying.
I very privileged.
But like for us, that would be so common to have like big families and where like cousins are coming to stay over there for the night you have to sleep like that, that they have a specific word for it,
Oh,
you know? So
oh,
once I've, yes, and then like, so you do the joke and then the Indian guy comes up to you afterwards and says, hey, you know, when we do that, we have a word for it. And then he tells me the word, and now I go out in front of an Indian audience and I say, and when you sleep, and I say the word, and they fucking lose it. Because they're like, oh my God, he knows the word, you know? So, yes, a lot of times you have to learn the slang. Like there'll be a joke where I'll repeat the same thing three times, but I'll say the English version, the Afrikaans version, and like the Zulu version of it,
okay.
you know? And it's funny every time you say it because it's funny when you say it, and then when you say it in Afrikaans, the Afrikaans people laugh even louder because they're like, oh shit, he knows the Afrikaans word for that, you know? And then you say
Ah,
the Zulu word for it, and then they laugh again. So, yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. That's interesting. And I don't know anything about Zulu. You could. All I know is the film with the white blonde lady in it.
Uh,
That's all I
don't even
know.
talk to me with that Michael Caine, like the propaganda film where him and four engineers fought off the whole Shaka Zulu army. I was like, ah, guys, I haven't seen it. I don't know what happens in it, but yeah.
I don't even remember the film, but that's all I know. I just remember when I was younger seeing that, and oh, that's Zulu. That's it. I don't know anything else.
Now that's where I'm from. I'm from KwaZulu Natal. I'm from the
Oh,
home of the
okay.
Zulus. I'm from what was called Zulu land. So, like my mom, she would speak Zulu.
So, what is the? Obviously, I'm quite ill informed, but what's it like, and what is Zululand? What like?
Zululand is like a province, like a big area, and the Zulu people originate from there. Now I'm going to tell you something. In South African comedy, that's its own offshoot of comedy. It's its
Oh,
own thing, and it's bigger than English comedy.
huh?
It's yeah, way bigger, way bigger. So if you do comedy and you speak isiZulu, right? Then you can go do isiZulu gigs. So you go do gigs where for the whole night everybody's just speaking Zulu, and those are the like the massive gigs now. That would be the main one. So what they will do for a Zulu gig, they'll book like one guy that does English, or like two. They'll book like
Oh,
they'll book like one girl and one guy that speak English on the lineup, and then so the whole night is in Zulu, and then you come up and you do a bit of English. You know, just like for to diversify it. And that is one of the best gigs you can do if you get it right. If you get it wrong, it is soul destroying. Because as I'm saying, oh man, I don't think you understand. These are not stage gigs. These are auditoriums, sports arenas.
oh,
The biggest gigs I've ever done in my life are two Zulu audiences,
oh. Okay,
8,000 people. Yeah, they do a big one in Johannesburg, but that one's a bit, you can do a lot of English. They're called Blacks Only. They do
okay.
a gig called Blacks Only every year. But they have like throughout the year, especially where I'm from, they would have these massive comedy explosion. What's up, Dublin? Comedy explosion. And it's like big money behind it. And everybody's like kitted out in suits and everything. And you get paid more for that gig than you get paid for 25 other gigs put together. Probably even more than that, B. Like, it's the most money you get, but you're either going to win or you're going to lose. Like, there's no in between.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
bloody hell. That's yeah. That's what I heard about the black gigs in the UK in London. They pay a lot more than mainstream gigs because they're always in big stadiums. But
Yes.
yeah.
But you see, like if you said I'm gonna go do that gig, if you prepared correctly for it, you could really, really succeed in that room. But you'd need to tie in and that's what Skulk is saying, and that's what I'm saying. You have to learn to move in those spaces. Because when that man makes the call and he says, "Yeah, I got this gig for you, it's 25 grand," you're like, "Yeah, what? Yeah, 100%, I'm there." But then like the first time you go do that and you die on your ass. I'm talking about die on your ass. Like if you think dying in front of 50 people above a pub is bad, to feel the silence of 3,500 people, you'll retire. Like you feel like you want to retire from comedy.
Yeah.
And then you get over it, and then time goes by, and you put it behind you, and everything's going well, and then they phone you again. They go, "Hey, we got a thing for you in Richards Bay, 15 grand," and you can't say no. I mean, that's 2 months' money. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
But you have to learn to do those stages. You do.
Oh yeah, yeah. You get. I mean, the money makes sure you learn learn those stages.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what people don't understand. In South Africa, we call that the Vernac scene. So I'm being incorrect when I'm saying Zulu because Vernac means there's a whole lot of other languages. So Sotho, Xhosa, there's like a whole lot of gigs that are specifically tailored because we have 12 official languages in South Africa.
Okay.
The 12th being sign language, but we have 11 official languages, and each one of those languages would have a big scene. Skulk is Afrikaans, so Skulk does like big Afrikaans gigs where you go out there and the whole night is just in Afrikaans.
Okay. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you this question. So, you grew up in like the townships in Durban. Like, what is it like? Tell us about it, because I know I spoke to Long John, who's now Lermo Yanasi, and he
My
told me
guy.
this amazing story of being in South Africa. He said he got. I told him a story where I got mugged, and I'll tell you this story, and you can laugh at this, right? I was at a
Right.
gig in Hammersmith, right, and this guy
Yeah.
stops in front of me with a bike, and he says,
Yeah.
I was looking at my phone trying to get a haircut, and he says, "Yo, you taking pictures of me?" I said, "No," and he says, "You're getting Larry, you're getting Larry." And he tries to scare me and get the phone. I
Right.
saw him, but I walked out the other side of the road and I saw someone that I knew. So I thought, if he's going to have a go at me, at least there's two of us versus one. I walk out the
Right.
road and
Sure.
turn left, and I can't get what he said, but I could gather what he said. And he sounded like a little child. And he said, "Oh, you're supposed to get mugged." And when I told Lermo Yanasi that story, right, he
Yeah.
goes, "Even your muggers are lazy."
Yeah. Come on, man. That was get your life together. You want armed or anything? He was
Yeah.
just trying to like mug you with his bare hands. Nah,
Yeah.
he won't make it. He won't make it in South Africa. But like, yeah, you see, learn more now. Like, he would have gigged and stayed and been around Josie. So Josie, now I'm from Durban. I'm from the township. I'm from a colored township, right?
Okay.
And so when you picture the township, there's levels within the townships.
Okay.
So you would get informal settlements, like what we call squatter camps, and like the biggest ones are like in Alexandria and Gugulethu, and the conditions in there is just people so far below the poverty line. It's really, really depressing, bro. Like if you born there, like no running water, no electricity, no like proper toilet and all that. And to like work your way up from there is just everybody that comes out of there is a victory, you know? And then you come up from that and then you get the black townships. So where my township is, there's a black township on each side, Dazenhoek
Oh,
and Chilinyama on the other side. So there's two like flanking me, right? And then on the top, I have an Indian township as well. So the Indian people are also, yeah. So that's how the group areas act worked. If you were Indian, you had to go stay with other Indian people. So they designated these areas and they kind of just like shoved us into there and said, right, just live there, just the rest of you, right? So I'm in a colored township. Black township, it's the conditions are worse than in the colored township. But to you, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But I can tell the difference. Like I have it a bit better than them. You know what I'm saying? Even now, like growing up in the Colour Township, like there was a swimming pool and a library. You know, the library was like an abandoned container, but it had books and stuff in it. The Black Township, they don't have those kind of things. Do you get what I'm saying? They have very little.
Okay.
So growing up in there, as I said, like I went to like a proper school building. Like I went to school in a proper school building. Like people that were going to school in the township next to me, they were having school like outside,
Oh,
you
okay.
know? And like the school don't have a toilet. You literally shitting in a hole. School children. Yeah, bro, like really, really bad, like really, really upsetting, right? So I'm saying for me in my township, my main problem was the violence. Colored
Oh,
townships have a big reputation, an earned reputation for violence because like we would fall into the like there's lots of like the drug trade and kind of things like that that would be going on. That's where I grew up. Like there's a Vice documentary about the school that I went to. Like my high school, there's a documentary now that you can go watch about like how crazy it is. Like so shooting and stabbing and mugging, like what you described. Come on, man. Like, literally somebody walking up to tell you take your shoes off, and you just take them off quickly because you just take your shoes. Somebody says take your shoes off, you just take them off quickly and give it to him because
oh,
if
okay.
you don't, there's no conversations after that. You're gonna get stabbed. You're gonna get shot. Like
Oh,
you get what? Yeah, no, quick,
oh,
quickly. So I'll tell you where comedy comes into it now, right? So coming from the township, we do lots of jokes about, oh yes, how bad things were growing up. And one day we were doing a gig at a place called the school there, Seabrook Theatre. And the host went up on stage and it was like this gang, their gang, let me call them what they are, their gang. And two of the gang members were sitting in the front row and they were wearing gang colors, right? And he said to them, hey, you in this gang, you know? And they like tried to laugh it off. And he said, hey, I hear that you guys are tough guys, you know? So you start the host now starts like
whoa.
ripping on them a little bit. Yeah, so he starts giving it to them a little bit, right? So I come up next on stage. I'm the first act for the evening. So when I come up, I give them a little bit as well, you know? And then basically the whole lineup comes up like one at a time. And like everybody now backstage is getting a small joke together about these gang members sitting in the front. And the audience are loving it. Because when you get a chance to laugh at gang members, you know,
Yeah.
go home from the gig next day, phone rings. It's the man, not those two, they're your boss. He phones me and he says, I hear that you're making a mockery of my organization and what I got going on over here. Oh, Miles, what a thing. Like he's like, yeah, when we see you, just watch your back. When we see you, it's on. Like
Oh,
we are going to kill you. Yes, we're going to kill you. And the host, my main man, Rishlu, he was the same day was walking and one of them pulled up on him and pulled a gun out on him. And
oh,
so, like in the middle of the day and told him, hey, you can't go around, our reputation is everything. And if you go around mocking us, how's that gonna work for us? So we have to make an example of you. I'm gonna shoot you dead where you're standing now. So off a comedy show, we ended up in trouble with this gang.
did he get killed?
No, 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 no. We
Oh,
got
good, good,
out of
good.
it. Luckily, we know some people that interceded on our behalf, explained us, all kind of in the
Okay.
fun of the things. And it got squashed. Yeah.
Oh,
But
bloody hell, lucky.
but that's how close it is. And that's got nothing to do with comedy. That's just where we from. You know, that's who's around us. That's who's in every comedy show.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, 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 that is quite. So, what do you think of all this cancel culture of people like comedians getting cancelled for jokes and they're complaining about this and that? Would you have to deal with things like that?
Yeah, bro. I mean, come on. I'm not worried about people not buying tickets for the show. I don't know how it's gonna go yet for me, you know. And that's what you do as a comedian. You rip on like it's nice to like why not pick on people, but when you're out on the stage, that's one of the funniest things you can do is to make fun of an otherwise serious conversation. We live in with these gangsters every day. We live in fear of them every day. You know what I'm saying? when we get a chance to kind of poke fun at them a little bit, it felt good. It felt liberating. Now learn more. The Zimbabwean boys got even worse problems. There was a time when they couldn't do jokes about Mugabe,
Oh,
because then you like, yeah, they put you in jail.
yeah,
They
yeah, yeah,
put
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
in. So they were like they were having to like leave the country and everything because they were making jokes about Zimbabwe. So when you talk about cancel culture, the things we're dealing with down there, very different.
Yeah, you've got to put things in perspective. I think one of the things in the West is, yeah, I think we need some of the things that we're worried about, or well, not we're, but people that are born in the West that we worry about,
Right.
uh, is complete nonsense, and we need to sort of get that out of the way. We're worrying about things that don't. They're irritants, but when there's so many
Yeah.
more worse things to get wound up by.
And some of these people that feel like they can get canceled have the biggest audiences. Like people love that trash that you're talking. You get what I'm saying? So if you're gonna commit and like talk to this particular, you can get an audience. Anybody can get an audience. If you're good at what you're doing and what you're doing is somewhat funny and appeals to a certain amount of people, you can make a living. Cancel culture is not a real thing. I mean, I don't agree with a large percentage of what some people are doing comedy about, but if people are coming to watch it, who am I to tell you? I can't tell you stop doing that. If you packing out arenas or you're selling 50 tickets, you know how it is to sell 50 tickets. To sell 50 tickets is a job. People don't understand it. To sell 3 tickets is you have to have something about you to sell 3 tickets. So yeah, cancel culture is not real. I just don't believe in it as a concept.
Yeah, and well, one thing that I find a little bit ridiculous in the UK scene, and this happens a
Yeah,
lot. There's a lot of them. It's so ridiculous, and the pay is ridiculous in the UK as well. But it's so competitive, and it's ridiculous in America, and that
yeah,
they've people are fighting for spots at clubs, right? But they're getting
right.
paid very little, and sometimes they're waiting 2 or 3 months to get paid, and some of the money is completely peanuts. And even if they get
Yeah.
£300, when you look at all the expenses, all that, they've only made £50 a night, and they're struggling to
Yeah.
make it meet. But then they try and have a go at a comic that has a huge following, like Jerry Sadowitz or what's it called? Dan Kitson. But it's like
Right.
you're in no position to have. They've got massive audience. They make a comfortable living from doing comedy, whilst you're struck. You may be at certain clubs or this and that, but you're not. You're not really succeeding, are you?
Yeah. I think before we even get to the second point, the main point that people don't understand there, a lot of people that come into comedy think that if you are on a lot of posters and you had all these gigs that you're making money. That's not how comedy works. Never. Because I was involved in building a scene up from the beginning. When I know what goes on in the background. Do you get what I'm saying? So for you to make money, for you to get if you're doing 5 gigs a week and you're clearing £50 after that, what are you doing, bro? Just go work in Tesco. You're gonna get more money. Now, of course, if you're already working in Tesco, that's hundreds because then that's an additional 50 on
Yeah.
top of that. So if you're doing comedy like that, perfect. I'm not gonna tell you what to do or how to conduct yourself. But if you're serious about making money, it's stupid to be critical of anybody that's regularly selling gigs. Because I now know in Ireland and especially in South Africa, if you want to make money as a comedian, you have to do what musicians do. A musician can put out an album, they can put out a song that gets 50 million streams. But then that's it. That's the only money that they got. What they have to do from there is go on tour, right? That's where you get money. You get money going
Yeah,
on
yeah,
tour.
yeah, yeah.
It's the same with as a comedian. You need to be on all these stages. You need to be on, but then you have to go on tour. Like you have to put a tour together. And I'm not saying every tour has to play the biggest venues, but how you're gonna get paid from it is put a series of gigs together where you getting the money and gamble on yourself and see how it works. If there's somebody out there that is doing like as a black person, if there's somebody out there and they're doing mad racist comedy, if they doing a comedy tour and the comedy tour is called fuck off back to your country, but they selling 200 tickets in every place that they're going there, I mean, That's his hustle. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna ask him. I'm not gonna ask him, can I open for him on the tour?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna have nothing to do with it. But I don't care. Like I don't think about it. I disagree 100% with it, but I'm not mad at his success. It's pointless to be mad at somebody's success because even some people, the success that you see, as you're saying, especially the people in the clubs, they don't even have success. They have the success of having an active Instagram profile. They don't have success that's translating to money. I'm just trying to get
yeah, yeah,
money
yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing it full time. Yeah.
It's yeah. But one thing that is also a big problem in comedy, I mean, it's nothing me and you can do about it, and it's just
Yeah.
the way it is a
Yeah.
lot of people at the top aren't investing to help things that are lower. But it's the way it is. Like you can't go around like complaining about it. You just got to make your way around it.
Bro, so speaking specifically about this scene, because I think that this scene is closer to the UK scene than South Africa, the South African scene would be. Because in South Africa, you can make money as a gigging comedian by doing corporates. There's lots of corporate work, lots of it. And if you know somebody's cousin that works at, I don't know, Volkswagen, and you go do their year-end function or like some team building thing for them, you can make enough money to live for 4 months off that. And they don't have that here. Like they don't have, and like weddings in South Africa, every comedian, I mean, every wedding has a MC, and those MCs are invariably comedians. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
every Saturday of your life, you're getting big money from somebody's wedding. They don't have that here. So in this scene that I am in, yeah, the only like I don't get it because you're scrambling over all these things, right? But the only way that it's gonna work for you is if you go out and do your own thing. So if you're looking at the big guys and you're saying, what are they doing to make the ground more fertile for me? It's no point. You have to ask yourself, what can I do to make a small lane for myself? And then you know what boys do? I see them doing it. Like I see people, let me not say gender specific. I see people doing this. They go, I'm a comedian. I feel like I'm doing it right. I want to host a gig. All right. I want to start hosting my own gig. And then they go open the gig in Dublin city center where there's already 12 gigs on that night. What's the point of that? You know what I'm saying? You have to think of another way to monetize what you're doing. Now, I don't have to worry about that anymore because I'm just pitching up at people's gigs and making like a few euros here and there. I don't care. But like if I was here in the scene and I was trying to make money, that's what I'd be doing. How can I make my own lane where I'm making my own money? And people don't think like that. A lot of people that are doing comedy, a lot of people that are doing comedy are doing it for status and fame. It's the
yeah.
idea of comedy. Yeah.
And also the thing about that is you're wanting someone else to do everything. You're hoping that once you get to some point, everyone else is going to do, someone's going to do everything for you. But
Why
then
would they do that?
also, if you do get to that point, you're subservient to someone else. With social
Yeah,
media, and if you take things to your own hand, you can be more in charge.
of course. And if you know from being in a regular workplace, right? If I'm running a gig and the gig is really successful and I'm booking, if I'm doing the Apollo and I'm booking 5 people for the Apollo, I promise you, I am trying to pay each one of them as little as possible because that's good business. So anybody that's running a gig, even the ones that are paying well, they wouldn't be paying you that if they're not making more than that.
Yeah,
It's just the way that the thing works. So you need to get into a situation where you are in control of your own thing. And the best way to do that is be your own person. Or team up with somebody, be a duo, and split the money after the fact between you. But there's no point in going to do another club where there's already a bunch of clubs, man. Go do something crazy, do something different. And that's where the online people are winning.
yeah, like skulk, like skulk.
Like winning. But you see, like the Skulk in him, I'm not gonna get into his business, but like a lot of comedians in South Africa, they take their fame and then they turn it into other revenue streams. They start doing like TV ads. Bro, how much money do you get paid to do a TV ad? Like a TV ad for like a big company? Come on. You know? I've done a couple of ads here and there. I've acted in a movie as an extra. The amount of money I made as a speaking extra in a Hollywood film is obscene compared to what you would get for
Oh,
like a comedy. But that's the whole, yeah. Well, you get paid handsomely. I had 2 lines.
bloody hell!
I was a taxi driver. You know what I'm saying? But that's exactly it. You need to use your profile, use your visibility, use the fact that people go, oh, that's the funny guy, and then do something with it. In South Africa, I was very lucky to get a radio gig. Radio presenters are laughing, let me tell you. Like the people that got gigs as radio presenters, that's a solid, solid income stream.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Now, for anyone that's sort of listening in right now, what advice would you give to new comedians coming up?
And I'll tell you what, I love open mic things. I love new comedians. It is my favorite thing. I'm talking about on my off day. If there's an open mic gig happening somewhere, I love going to see that because to me, that's the purest version of comedy. At open mic nights, I've seen funny things. I've paid top money to go see top comedians that have never made me laugh as much as somebody's made me laugh at an open mic night. So when you're a new person, there is so much scope for you. It's, everybody that comes there has an opportunity to do something. I'm lucky in my time to see some people go from being open mic spots and being new comedians to being more successful than I am. So my advice to new comedians, as somebody that's been somewhat successful, like sold a special, been on TV a few times, and that they're seeing people come after me that have gone on, you just need to decide what your comedy is and just keep doing that. Your comedy. Decide what is the way that you want to do comedy. And that's why, to go back to what we were saying in the beginning, there's no right way to do comedy. There's no path that you can follow. There's no 12-step program, 10-step program, nothing. You're gonna have to figure out a way. And then there's people that are gonna say, oh, you need to be online. You need to do 30-second videos every day for 7 weeks so that you can. No, that works for some people, doesn't work for some other people. You know what I'm saying? There's people, Josh Johnson does 45-minute video like every week, just one topic
Oh,
every week. Yeah, he's incredibly successful comedian. You know what I'm saying? There is no rules to this. And that's the thing I always try and impress on new people. Take every opportunity that you can get to get on stage and use every opportunity when you're on stage to just find the comedian that you're gonna be and just amplify that as much as you can going along by being on the scene, being around other comedians, and just being open to all of it. Just keep doing that. There's no right way to do comedy.
okay.
There's a wrong way, but there's no right way.
Yes, there is the wrong way.
Yeah.
Um, for anyone that's listening in right now, how do they find out about you?
Uh, I'm I'm on Instagram, Neil Green Comedian. I'm not so active on any of the other social media platforms so much, but yeah, I upload it fairly regularly. And I mean, if you're in Ireland, I'm pretty active on the scene. I'm gigging all the time, so if you're there, you'll see my posters popping up there. But yeah.
Right. Well, guys, if you want to know about Neil, you know where to go. Give this episode a 5-star review wherever you get it. But also, I got a Maori comedian that I'm speaking to tomorrow, and I'm going to speak to a fellow Asian brother from another mother, Comedy Asians, and likely, and I need to double check on this, but I'm going to try and really want to get this guy on, Frank Sinatra. So he's a comedian that sings as
Oh
Frank Sinatra, looks like Hitler, and
no.
he's an American guy, but he sings some Frank Sinatra songs. He's a very unique act, but yeah, I really want to get him on. But yeah, anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon.